What's up guys, Asian here again with another Trials Guide video, and today we're going to be going over one of the other side bosses in Cloudrest. This is going to be Relequen. So Relequen is the lightning side boss. If you guys are kind of struggling with names, I do know the names of these bosses are a little bit difficult to remember, so we just kind of go by the rider names and not really the Griffon names. So this is the second boss. If you are going from the bridge off the right side, Relequen is the far boss. So Sorority would be the closer one, and then Relequen is going to be the far one. So this is one of the bosses here. So just like the rest of the side bosses here, you start off with a couple of ads. It's pretty simple, straightforward, not too hard. We're just going to go ahead and roll the video.
Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, grabbed it, main.
Alright, so most groups will just start off by hitting the creepers first, and then you bring one of the monstrosities over to one of the creepers in terms of Relequen, because I believe Relequen is the only side boss that has 2 creepers on the ad spawn.
Octavio can take this. Take the bosses.
So there's the monstrosity there. So real quick, just to explain what the monstrosity does, because the monstrosity is actually one of the more dangerous mobs in Cloudrest itself. A lot of people just call them bellies because it's the exact same character model as Veladreth, just obviously scaled down. The Yagra Monstrosity will basically place Baneful Mark on you, so that's what's dropping your tank's health down to 10-15%, something like that, and it also applies a healing debuff of about 80% or so. The only way you can get rid of that debuff is either by healing all the way up to full, so 100% health, or you can basically kill the Yagra Monstrosity and that'll remove the debuff automatically. While the debuff is on you, there is a dot associated with it, and it'll get worse and worse the longer that you have it. So you do want to try to cleanse it right away. The easiest way to get rid of it is just to, as a tank at least, is to just use undo. You just hit undo, and hopefully 4 seconds before you had close to max health, and then you can just heal yourself all the way back up to full if you are not at 100%. Otherwise, just stack a bunch of healing ults, so it's up to like Blood Altar, Earth Core, Healing Springs, Ward Ally, anything that you need to do, orbs even, to kind of get yourself all the way back up to full, any healing ultimates that you might have. It's not going to be very useful here on the side bosses because there's only really one Yagra Monstrosity that comes out, and that's going to be during this ad pull here. But it is important to know how to deal with Baneful Mark because you will have to deal with that as you go into the final boss, Magicka. So we're going to go ahead and just speed past this. Okay, so we are now fighting the bosses here. So there's 2 bosses. There's Belanaril, which is the Griffon, and then there is Relequen, which is the Rider. Most people just call them Griffon and Riders. They don't really call them by the names themselves. So both of them have their own special moves. So we'll start off first with Belanaril, which is the Griffon. So the Griffon will apply bleed to whoever it manages to hit with the slide attacks and any attacks that it hits with. So you just want to be mindful of that. A lot of tanks that I've seen now have actually kind of changed over to a dodge roll build almost. And just dodge roll every other light attack, so that way they avoid stacking too much of that bleed, because if you do decide to get hit by all of them, by the time he goes into the air, you will be ticking for like 10, 15, even up to 20k per tick of that bleed, and that bleed lasts for 20 seconds, so it is fairly heavy. So you do want to try dodge roll as many attacks as you can from the Griffon. Obviously stamina, as long as your stamina permits you to do so, because you still have to block and things like that. The Griffon has a special move. It is basically known as overcharged weapons. I'm not sure the exact name. Basically, he chooses 3 people, and they kind of overcharges their weapon. And you will know when you have that on you, either through raid notifier, or if you're on console, or you don't have raid notifier, there will be a blue beam that appears over your head, and a big chunk of the arena will turn blue for you. There's basically going to be a giant blue circle around you. When that does happen, you need to swap bars, and then you need to stay on that second bar that you swapped to for 10 seconds. If you have something like Srendar, or again, if you have Raid Notifier, it'll count down for you. But if you're on console, you just have to wait until you see your weapon stop glowing. When your weapon stops glowing, that's when you can swap back to your bar. If you do not swap bars, you will hit everybody inside that blue circle, and it just keeps getting harder and hits for harder and harder. And if you do bar swap early, the hits are strong enough to kill everybody in that blue circle as well as yourself. So you do want to make sure to bar swap, and you don't want to bar swap out of it too early. I always wait a second just to make sure that my weapon is completely discharged before I swap bars. I'm not sure if I managed to get it here, but if I see it, I will go ahead and pause it. Other than that, the Griffon is pretty straightforward. Doesn't do that much. That's the only special move here. You'll know that the Griffon is going to do its special move. Let me see. It should be doing it soon-ish. So the Griffon will do its special move. Okay, I guess it didn't do its special move. But when it rears up on its hind legs and screams, that's when it will do its special move. Every once in a while, I believe it's every 45 seconds or so, the Griffon will go up into the air. Or it might be every 30 seconds, I'm not 100% sure. But the Griffon will go up into the air, and you can still hit the Griffon while it's in the air, but while it's in the air, we'll go ahead and take a look here at what it does. You can see here that it does throw out a couple of whirlwinds there. You can see there, the first ones are going to kind of go out in a circle, and then it'll fly basically around the arena. It's kind of no rhyme or reason behind it. It just kind of goes in a straight line, and when it goes down a straight line, it'll shoot out the whirlwind. So if it goes up like this, you'll have whirlwinds going out like that. And each of the whirlwinds will stun you, and it'll also put a dot on you called Dark Drain. You can't cleanse it, so you just have to heal through it, or just avoid getting hit by the whirlwinds in the first place. Every once in a while, he'll conjure up a very large AoE whirlwind and kind of shoot that off at a random person. That'll do the exact same thing. That'll knock you down, it'll stun you, and also apply that dot on you. So just want to be mindful of that. If you block the whirlwind, then you won't get knocked down, but you can't block these smaller whirlwinds. They will still stun you even if you're blocking through them. While the Griffon is in the air, a lot of groups will then go over to the rider. In this case, it'll be Relequen. So Relequen has a couple more moves than Belanaril. So you can think of Relequen basically as a slightly, basically a non-robot version of the second boss of Beahop the Pinnacle Factotum. He has pretty much the exact same moves. So let's go ahead and go, and so you can see some of them. So you can see there, you might not have been able to see it, but when he does a heavy attack, just like the Pinnacle Factotum, it will hit the tank, whoever's tanking it, and then it'll split off the sparkling balls. Unlike the Pinnacle Factotum, they will stun you through block, but they will not stun you through block immunity. So you can't, while you should block them in order to reduce the damage, you will still get stunned, so that's just something they can be mindful of. If he does any more moves here.
You get the second one too?
So that was another move. It was interrupted very quickly, but it's basically an interruptible move, much like the Pinnacle Factotum, where he targets a random person and anybody kind of within that vicinity, that kind of conal where he's facing, and he'll basically drain your Magicka. You need to interrupt it with something like Crushing Shock or just a bash, so you do need to be mindful of that as the tank who's tanking Relequen. And just like the other bosses you saw there, Relequen will port away, and when he ports away to the farthest person, he will drop a Liquid Lightning, much like the Pinnacle Factotum. So if you go ahead and turn around, you can see there that he did manage to drop a Liquid Lightning there. Then he has that large conal, much, again, very similar to the Pinnacle Factotum. If you block it, it'll stagger you. If you don't block it, it'll knock you back. And so that's pretty much it. So now you'll notice that this portal here, as well as this spear here. So it's about every 30 seconds or so, again, maybe a little bit longer, but basically what happens is 2 or 3 people, DPS typically, will have to go down into the Shadow Realm by synergizing with this portal. I don't go down in these runs here, but when you go down, there'll be 3 crystals kind of along the sides of the arena. You're basically in a shadow version of the arena that you're in right now. The DPS basically need to break the crystals, and they will release a ball. These balls will throw out magical projectiles towards everybody every couple of seconds, so that's just something to be mindful of. You will need to self-heal while you're down there. And then up here in the light world, you'll have these spear shards that spawn. Basically, somebody needs to go down, synergize it with it, and it sends that shard down to the shadow world. In the shadow world, if you are one of the DPS down there, you basically synergize with one of the orbs, and you run it over to the shard that appears. Now, while you are holding the orb, you will be taking oblivion damage. So again, you will need to have a self-heal, and it is also very useful to coordinate with whoever else is down there. Okay, I'm going to be taking this orb to this shard, or something like that. A lot of groups will also call out the shards as they go down, so you'll have 3 orbs, so 3 shards, so shard 1, shard 2, shard 3. So that way the people downstairs will know, okay, I shouldn't take up this orb yet because the third shard hasn't come down, something like that. So that's basically how the shadow mechanic works. There is a quasi-time limit on it, so if you don't basically finish destroying all 3 orbs in a timely manner, 4 Yager Monstrosities will spawn, and at that point, while it is possible to kind of power yourself through it, it's very difficult because now you have 4 Yager Monstrosities to deal with. There will be small ads that pop out throughout the portal, throughout the fight. You can see here you have a couple of Yager larvae over here, but they're not too worrisome. You can just kind of ignore them. Your tank can taunt them if they want, just so they die to cleave. It's kind of up to you if you want to do that.
Thank you.
Bam.
A couple of other things that you
It's
might want to
probably
be
about
mindful
demands.
of. First of all, Relequen will sometimes do his heavy attacks while he's running back to the tank. As far as I know, there's no cleave behind it, so you can stand in front of him and not die to it. But he will still shoot out the sparkling balls, such as something to be mindful of. And while the two bosses are close together, they will be enraged, so you do want to separate them out. When the Griffon lands, you can see here there's a growing AoE. That's basically where he's going to land. So you can see here that they're enraged, so you just want to separate them out so that way they're not enraged at all. Now, in terms of killing them, Relequen has less health than Belanaril, so the Rider will always have less health than the Griffon, and you do want to kill them at the same time. If you don't kill them at the same time, once one of them dies, Magicka will summon the creepers up, and so you just want to avoid that at all costs, because the creepers, if you get hit by their razor vines, they will silence you if you don't break free quickly enough. You won't be able to use any abilities that use Magicka. So that's pretty much it for the side bosses here. This is Relequen. The side bosses are very easy compared to the Magicka. Pretty straightforward mechanics. The big one you just have to watch out for is really that overcharged weapon. So we'll see if I end up getting overcharged weapon at any point.
To Belanaril. No, don't give me
Nope.
overload.
I didn't get it.
Please don't go downstairs.
I didn't get it there. So you can see here
Here's the
that
next
when Belanaril does that, so basically on his hind legs and screaming, that's basically when you will get the lightning.
Who's using the dick drop?
So I'm not sure if I get it during this
Also,
fight
two
here.
different people have already brought it up.
Who's using Dan?
Dave.
So let's see.
Dan.
I just kind of want to show you guys what the
Now I
mechanic
know
looks
who
like.
it is, but it's Dan.
Nope, I didn't get it that time.
My horn.
Again, I don't think I get it during this fight here.
I got killed by the ad while I was
Oh, no.
No, I would have.
Somebody bar swap me.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, so I did get it this time. So if we go ahead and take a look here.
Oh.
So you can see here that's basically, hold on, let me go back to it. Right. So if we take a look, okay, so it's called the Voltaic Overload. You can see there I have Raid Notifier and it'll tell me when to swap. Let's go back to when I first get it. Okay, so it'll be around here. Up a little bit too far. Alright, so we'll just start from here. How about that?
No. Oh my goodness, who bar swapped?
Somebody bar swap me.
Okay, alright.
Jared,
guess
how's
I
your
read this.
chance?
Okay, so you can see here I have Raid Notifier turned on for Voltaic Overload, so it'll basically tell me whether or not Voltaic Overload is going to be hit on me. So you can see the Griffon's on its rear legs here.
No.
3, 2, 1.
Ah, that's a go.
And so here is what it looks like. So you have this blue beam on you, and you have a big blue circle. So anybody within this blue circle will get that damage on you. And then, so if you're not running Raid Notifier, you're on console, this is what you want to look for.
I bet you Jared.
Then you can see here I swap bars, and so that blue circle goes away. Now I'm stuck on this bar here until my countdown hits 0 and this notification goes away. For those of you guys on console, let me move on to a better.
No, I would've
So
died
you can
too.
see here, so when you have Voltaic Overload, you kind of have this blue glow on you, and as well as these kind of blue balls kind of circling around you. So if you're on console and you don't have Raid Notifier, this is kind of the animation you want to look for. So once this is gone, then you can swap back to your front bar here. So you can see here I'm stuck on my back bar until I can get rid of this, then I can swap back. And if you swap early, if we go over to when people were dead, you can see here, and then I believe someone swapped early here, and you can see here that it killed 3 people here. Somebody bar swapped too early. You can see I still had it, so I didn't bar swap, so I had to wait until it went away. So somebody who had Voltaic Overload bar swapped too early, and it ended up killing I think 3 other people around them. So that's just something to be really mindful of. Just be mindful of those bar swaps. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions about the comments, or questions or comments about the mechanics, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Hope you guys found this video informative, and I'll see you guys in the next trial boss.